The warning lights on the bridge of Horizon Station pulsed in muted reds and ambers as the Ithaca drifted into view. Through the panoramic viewport, the battered alien ship hung like a wounded animal in the void, its once sleek silhouette marred by gashes in the hull and twisted antennae. On Earth, news feeds were ablaze with speculation. Were the visitors friend or foe? But for Captain Elena Marquez, whose duty was to protect not to pontificate, the question was already settled. "Status report," she commanded, her voice steady despite the tremor she felt in her gut. Lieutenant Aaron Prakash turned from the sensor console, eyes pale in the glow of his displays. Life support at 52% and decaying. Internal temperature fluctuating by 10 degrees every 30 seconds. Structural integrity sensors indicate 3 critical breaches along the starboard corridor. Their communication array is offline, no response on any band. Elena pressed her lips together. She remembered the moment, 2 decades ago, when humanity first mastered sublight drives and dared to whisper the notion of reaching for the stars. The dream had never fully died. It had merely waited, patient as the dark between galaxies. Now, at long last, an alien vessel, one not seen in the isolated records of long-range probes, had dared to reach Earth's doorstep. "Open a priority channel to Engineering Bay 2, Elena ordered. "Tell them to prepare the medical teams and mobile repair rigs. I want environmental suits on standby and an emergency extraction team ready." We board at H+30. Seconds later, the docking bay's vast hangar doors began their slow slide, revealing the Ithaca's weathered HULL looming against the sliver of Earth's horizon. Sparks flew as its degraded stabilization thrusters struggled to maintain position. Station attendants grabbed ladders, moved power carts, and checked their respirators. Overhead, the soft hum of the ring's habitat farms and zero-G recreation modules continued unaffected. Life went on even as history trembled on the edge of a drip. In the observation gallery, civilian staff and a few anxious diplomats pressed their foreheads to the glass. Dr. Aisha Khan, xenotechnologist and Horizon Station's senior scientific officer, stood among them, her translator implant blinking ready. "Elena," she said quietly, this ship carries tech we've only theorized about. If we could recover even a single functioning module." She trailed off, eyes alight with professional hunger. Elena placed a hand on her shoulder. "We salvage lives first, Aisha. Everything else comes later." Aisha nodded, though the flush of excitement in her cheeks remained. In the world beyond the station, governments argued over budgets and policy. Here, in the face of the unknown, one principle held: preserve life at any cost. H+10 minutes. The boarding party gathered in the airlock vestibule. Jiro Tanaka, Horizon's chief engineer, triple-checked his tool harness. Dr. Malik Abbasi prepared portable diagnostic scanners. To combat medics went over triage protocols, and 3 specialists in xenobiology secured containment units designed to capture or to tranquilize any living specimen they might encounter. Elena watched them like a proud parent, then turned to the glass viewport, where the Ithaca's hatch sealed against the station's airlock ring. She cursed under her breath. The visitors had neglected to include any standard docking interfaces. It fell to Jiro to jury-rig an adapter that could clamp onto the alien hull. Sparks and hydraulic groans echoed in the docking chamber as his team strained against unfamiliar geometry. "Adapter secured," Jiro announced at last, arms slick with oil. "Pressure differential in 30 seconds. Elena tapped her helmet. "Team, suit up." With a hiss of valves, their suits sealed. The sound of their own breathing filled their helmets, shallow and brittle. The inner airlock cycled once, then twice, before the outer door slid open to reveal a corridor washed in violet. BIOLUMINESCENCE. To step. Across the threshold was to step. Between worlds. Inside the Ithaca, Dr. Abbasi raised his scanner to an alien glyph etched on the corridor wall. The symbol glowed faintly, as if alive. "Architecture's semi-organic," he murmured. "Walls grow like tissue. Repairs might actually encourage regeneration." Aisha's translator implant crackled. "Welcome, friends." The voice was neither male nor female, neither high-pitched nor low. It floated directly into their minds. Seasoned with centuries of weariness, Elena raised her hand in greeting. "We come in peace. We wish to help. A single figure glided from the shadows, taller than any human, with limbs that tapered at the joints and skin that shimmered like oil on water. The being inclined its head, its eyes pupils vertical like a cat's regarded them with luminous curiosity. We are called the Ithrak. We flee from war. The corridor opened into a vast atrium where the Ithaka's organic systems converged. A central crystalline structure, half shattered, half humming, with pale energy. Fractures splintered its core, like cracked ice stained with dark veins. Jiro knelt beside a fissure. This crystal field generator, we've never seen anything like it. If it's damaged, the entire ship's power matrix goes offline. The Ithrak shimmered with apprehension. Without it, we cannot maneuver. Without maneuvering, we will die. Elena glanced at her datapad. Standard rescue protocols would have them stabilize life support, patch hull breaches, and tow the vessel into a safe orbit. But these systems, half living, half mechanical, wouldn't accept standard patchwork. Aisha, Elena said, tell me what we're looking at. Aisha tapped her implant, her eyes darting over translated schematics. It's an electrokinetic converter. It stores and releases energy in a quasi-biological matrix. If we reroute auxiliary power through the secondary manifold here, she pointed to a ring of crystalline conduits, we can temporarily stabilize the field. Jiro frowned. We're talking jury-rigging alien tech with human tools. Risky. Elena squared her shoulders. Human ingenuity, Jiro. Let's show them what it can do. Bridging worlds over the next hours, human and Ithrak worked side by side. The Ithrak offered whispered guidance images of starfields and factory lab hybrids, flickering in their shared mental space. Engineers fused human titanium plates with living alien tissue, creating a pale patchwork that pulsed with soft violet light. Medics applied synthetic biogel to wounds in the living conduits, while xenobiologists meticulously cataloged new cellular strains. In the hushed corridors, laughter echoed as teams discovered shared joys. Jiro's joy at finally cracking an alien engineering puzzle, Dr. Abbasi's delight at encountering entirely new life chemistry, and even the Ithrak's quiet amusement as it learned the human concept of coffee, strong, bitter black liquid, that somehow brought focus to mortal minds. When the central crystal hummed steadily once more, everyone paused. Aisha placed her hand on the shimmering surface. It's stable. The field is regenerating. Elena exhaled a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. The Ithaka's engines, those gargantuan nacelles visible through some distant viewport, stirred. Light flickered behind their protective housings. The Ithrak spoke in her mind, their voice tinged with gratitude and something deeper. Because of you, we live to travel again. Know that we will carry your kindness across the stars. She smiled, flush with triumph and relief. We'll be here when you return, she told them. As the boarding party prepared to depart, Elena glanced back at the wounded ship that now sang with renewed life. Somewhere between the cold metal of Horizon Station and the living vessel of the Ithrak, a bridge had been built, and it stood firm on the one thing both species shared: hope. The boarding party stepped through the airlock in pairs, the hiss of decompression giving way to a soft, otherworldly pulse that reverberated beneath their boots. Beyond the entry corridor's violet glow, the Ithaka revealed its true nature. Not merely a ship, but a living architecture, its walls breathing with bioorganic textures, pathways branching like vascular networks. The living labyrinth. Lieutenant Prakash consulted his holo-display as they navigated the tubular passageways. Gravimetric fluctuations ahead, he murmured. The floor underfoot tilted almost imperceptibly. Next to him, Dr. Khan's fingers traced phosphorescent glyphs curling along the wall. These patterns, bioluminescent sigils, are alive. They respond to touch, carrying data through bioelectric feedback loops. Her voice echoed with wonder under the translator's calm veneer. A hush fell over the team as they reached a great chamber at the heart of the vessel. The ceiling arched high above like the ribcage of a colossal leviathan, each bone-like strut pulsing with pale light. Below, pools of liquid metal shimmered, rippling with unseen currents. At the center, half buried in crystalline spires, lay the breached core they had first seen from Horizon Station, now glowing faintly, its fractures mended by living tendrils that threaded like bioluminescent vines, the Ithrak guide whom the humans had named Silthar glided forward. Its tall, elegant frame cast a sinuous shadow. This chamber stores memories and sustains our life webs, its telepathic voice intoned. It is sacred. Dr. Khan bowed her head in reverence. Even the skeptical engineer Jiro paused, tightening his grip on a fusion welder he'd jury-rigged for delicate work. Foundations of understanding for 8 hours. The humans worked to stabilize the chamber's failing systems while the Ithrak taught them subtle cues when a pulse faltered. One needed only to press a glyph to clicks to the left. A hum to low meant rerouting power through the secondary conduits. Dr. Abbasi crouched by a broken filament, eyes alight as he compared the filament's structure to terrestrial fungi. It's self-replicating, he whispered. It grows like mycelium and conducts energy like a superconductor. Silthar hovered nearby, projecting mental images of the core's original design diagrams, sketched in flickering motes of light. Elena watched them both, human ingenuity and alien wisdom intertwined, solving problems that neither species could have managed alone. A sense of profound kinship bloomed within her, eclipsing the fear that had gripped her when she first saw the wounded ship. Still, for all the wonder, an undercurrent of tension rippled beneath the group. Aisha sensed it first. They carry scars, she said softly, voice trembling, not just physical, emotional. Late that evening, when most had retreated to the makeshift medical ward, a circular room lined with living walls, exuding calming pheromones, Aisha and Elena lingered by a console. Trauma, Aisha explained. They've been on the run for generations, hunted by something they call the Ravagers. They sacrifice parts of themselves to keep flying. Her translator breathed out a quiet sigh. They hide the cost so you can save them. The implication struck Elena deeply. Every patch they'd applied was borrowed time, every repair an act of mercy. The gallery of Echo Silthar offered a tour of the ship's cultural archive, a gallery of living murals that adorned a great hall. Each mural shimmered with biosynthetic pigments, displaying scenes from Ithrak history, crystalline cities under alien suns, majestic beasts roaming sapphire plains, and the Ravager's grotesque shadow, whose skeletal ships raised everything in their path. As they walked, Silthar's thoughts filled their minds with memories, the lullaby of its childhood, sung by mothers around luminous hearths, the thrill of first flight when gravity releases its hold, the horror of watching homeworld after homeworld fall to mindless aggressors. The humans stood transfixed, sharing tears with their alien guides. In that gallery, barriers dissolved entirely. Species became companions, not strangers. Jiro, whose world had been nuts and bolts, confessed in soft tones by the final mural, I never thought fixing a ship would feel like saving a life. Silthar's telepathic glow softened. Because we are one and the same, it conveyed. All who venture into the void depend on each other. That shared epiphany became a beacon that banished every fear within the group. A fracture healed, returning to the engineering chamber. The team prepared for the final operation, reactivating the ship's central harmony generator. This device, more living organism than machine, regulated every organic system on board, from the air to the crew's neural interfaces. Without it, their ship and its people could not survive the next jump through hyperspace. Armed with both human tools and Ithrak biographs, they combined steel scaffolding with living conduits in a splice that glowed blue-white. Sparks flew alongside pulses of living light. Elena held her breath as Jiro made the last weld and Aisha chanted the final calibration code aloud, a sequence of numbers and tonal vowels that resonated with the crystal's frequency. The core blinked, then surged with renewed power. The entire chamber hummed, and the ship vibrated as if inhaling deeply for the first time in ages. Silthar's presence flooded their minds in a wave of joy and relief. You have given us breath again. And then, you are welcome among the stars. Tears sprang to Elena's eyes. It was our honor, she whispered, a promise in twilight as the humans prepared to depart exhausted. Elated, forever changed, Silthar bestowed a final gift, a living shard of crystal, small enough to fit in one hand, its surface alive with shifting patterns, a seed of our technology and our trust. It conveyed. May it remind you that you, too, are part of a galaxy teeming with life. The airlock cycled open, and Horizon Station's lights beckoned in the distance. The humans stepped toward home carrying more than data logs and samples. They bore an unbreakable bond, a promise of friendship woven between species. Behind them, the Ithaka stirred, its corridors once more alive, ready to carry its people healed, hopeful, and unafraid toward whatever dawn awaited beyond the cracked surface of the stars. The Ithaka's hull hummed with renewed vitality as they drifted in orbit, but Horizon Station's corridors still buzzed with uneasy tension. Word had spread through Earth's governments that the visitors possessed technologies beyond human comprehension, and factions whispered of hidden agendas and covert threats. In the Grand Council chamber, once a neutral forum for scientific exchange, diplomats now bristled at every glance, eyes darting beneath composed masks. One diplomatic fractious Captain Elena Marquez stood on the raised dais, watching as Earth's delegates took their seats opposite Silther and the other Ithrak emissaries. Behind them, viewport windows framed the living ship, its bioluminescent conduits pulsing like a beating heart. A hushed awe rippled through the crowd until a hardened state minister cleared his throat. "Esteemed guests, we welcome your presence," he began, voice measured. "Yet let us remember that technology so advanced can never be free of peril. We must ensure that no advantage is gained at Earth's expense." His words were polite, but the slight curvature of his brow declared suspicion. Dr. Aisha Khan, serving as human scientific liaison, rose to reply. "Minister, every module we've examined and every life we've saved has been of mutual benefit. Our engineers and yours collaborated side by side beneath the Ithaka's own hull. Surely that counts for something." A ripple of agreement swept the chamber, but another delegate, a military advisor, tapped her datapad, displaying schematics of the visitors' energy shields. "Can we be certain they will not turn those shields against us if conflict arises? We have the right to defend ourselves." Silther's great frame remained still, but within the minds of every person present, a single thought blossomed. "We came broken and terrified, seeking only sanctuary." The telepathic message was soft, yet impossible to ignore. For a moment, hostility wavered. Then political caution resumed the upper hand. A shadow movement beyond the glare of diplomatic lights. A covert network spun its web. A private military firm known as Cerberus Dynamics had slipped operatives onto the station, under the guise of security contractors. Their mandate: procure alien technology by any means necessary. The firm's leader, Colonel Yarek Voss, was a veteran of near-forgotten wars on Mars' frontier. His eyes gleamed at the prospect of reverse engineering living hull plating and telepathic interfaces. On the eve of the third day, Voss assembled his team in a maintenance tunnel beneath Docking Bay 4. The low hum of station machinery cloaked their whispered instructions. "We strike at dawn," he intoned, voice hushed but resolute. "Our objective is simple: capture an Ithrak alive, secure the core sample, and extract. No collateral unless they fight back." His mercenaries nodded, fingers brushing the grips of their compact pulse rifles. They had practiced the plan in secret VR chambers, breach the visitor quarters, disable the communications nodes, and drag a stunned Ithrak through the labyrinthine service shafts to an awaiting dropship. 3. When violence erupts 2 hours before sunrise, Horizon Station's artificial sky dimmed to midnight blue. Most of the scientific staff had retired. Content with the day's breakthroughs, only the overnight watch remained vigilant. In the visitors' docking wing, an area now cleaned and bathed in soft violet radiance, Silther and 2 Ithrak caretakers rested against living benches that pulsed gently under their forms. The first warning was a muffled explosion deep in the corridor. Lights flickered as emergency alarms rasped to life. Captain Marquez, roused from her quarters, sprinted toward the disturbance, helmet clipped to her belt. She grabbed a comm unit. "All stations, secure non-combatants and await my orders. Engineers, fall back to safe zones. Medics, prepare for casualties." Dr. Abbasi and Jiro Tanaka, awakened by the shrill sirens, locked eyes in the ready bay. They had seen rumors of an attack, but never imagined it here, on their home. "Follow me," Jiro barked, wrench in hand. "We're not letting our friends bleed on our watch." Through twisting service tunnels, gunfire cracked like thunder. Pulse rounds ignited against living walls, leaving scorch marks that hissed as the bioorganic material tried to heal. In the visitor wing, Silther's powerful voice erupted inside Elena's mind. They are coming with weapons. Moments later, a dozen mercenaries burst into the docking chamber, rifles raised. Silther rose, limbs coiling with defensive tension. "Stop!" Elena's shout came too late. Dr. Khan and a rookie engineer dove for cover behind a repair cart, as bolter fire ripped through the chamber, and one of the visiting caretakers cried out, collapsing in a spray of iridescent fluid. For mercy in the face of Furyelena activated her sidearms, stun setting, and leapt into the fray, firing perfect arcs of non-lethal energy. Marks dropped like startled birds, convulsing but alive. Yet Voss, armored and defiant, pressed forward, weapon leveled on Silther. "Give me one of your kind," he snarled. Now, time froze. Silther's pupils dilated. Behind his translucent skin, veins pulsed in violet rhythms, an unspoken plea. Elena raised her voice. "Stand down, Colonel. You're jeopardizing the fragile alliance we've worked so hard to build." Voss hesitated only a heartbeat before squeezing the trigger. A pulse bolt streaked towards Silther's torso, but before it could strike, the chamber stilled. Every mercenary's body locked, mid-motion, as though caught in an invisible snare. All across the station, security cameras, consoles, even the fusion reactors seemed to pause. In that stillness, a single mental projection swept through every mind, present human and Ithrak alike. Violence begets only more violence. Witness its end. 5. Aftermath and reckoning. Pulse nets dissipated like dissipating ripples, and the mercenaries slumped unconscious, weapons clattering harmlessly to the deck. Voss lay prone, eyes wide with shock. Silther advanced slowly, each step resonating with calm authority. "We do not seek vengeance." The telepathic voice reverberated. "We only seek peace." Silence fell, broken only by the hiss of emergency pressure equalizing. Elena knelt beside Silther. "Are you?" "I am unharmed," came the gentle reply. "But you must understand, if we cannot trust each other, we will perish together." Dr. Khan's voice trembled as she approached Voss and his men. "You risk genocide. Today for what? A chance to reverse engineer life itself." She knelt at the fallen mercenaries. "This isn't you. This is fear." Elena stood, gazing at the collected faces of human and alien alike. "To the rest of the station, bring them here. I want a full debrief and then we decide how to proceed." 6. Forging new bonds. Be dawn. Word of the skirmish had spread. Rather than fracturing alliances, the assault had illuminated the depths of human fear and the visitors' capacity for restraint. In the station's central plaza, a gathering formed: engineers, diplomats, soldiers, scientists, even a handful of the Cerberus operatives huddled in shame. Elena addressed them from a temporary podium. "We stand at a crossroads. Yesterday, we repaired a ship. Today, we nearly destroyed a friendship forged in that act. But because the Ithrak showed mercy, we have another chance." She swept her arm toward the violet docking wing. "Let us not squander it." Silther stepped forward, slender hands open in peace, in everyone's minds. Their words resonated. "Together, we are stronger than any weapon. Together, we can redefine what it means to stand tall." A murmur of assent rippled through the crowd until a cheer rose, tentative at first, then with growing confidence. The Ithrak caretakers joined hands with human medics to tend the wounded mercenaries. Scientists embraced their alien peers. Even Voss, bandaged and humbled, offered a curt nod of respect. The bioluminescent pathways lining the plaza pulsed in time with human hearts, proof that the disparate species, meeting under fire, could choose understanding over destruction. As day broke over Earth's blue horizon, the echoes of conflict faded, replaced by the promise of unity. Humanity had indeed stood tall, not in triumph over another race, but in the courage to forgive, to learn, and to walk together into the stars. The air inside Horizon Station felt different at first, lighter, as though a great weight had lifted from its hull. Where once suspicion and fear had tightened every joint and corridor, now a soft hum of optimism wove through the corridors. Morning in orbit usually brought a rush of supply shuttles and maintenance crews, but today, It brought something far rarer, Unity.1. Final preparations in Docking Bay 4. The vast hangar where the Ithaca rested alongside its human caretakers. Engineers from both species worked side by side on last-minute calibrations. Titanium scaffolding and living crystal biographs intertwined in intricate latticework. Along the ship's hull, Dr. Aisha Khan consulted Silther over a holoschematic, tracing the final power nodes that would synchronize the alien drive with human. Navigational arrays, alignment at 98%, Aisha reported, voice steady despite the tremor of excitement in her chest. Silther's nod felt more than seen, sent a ripple of bioluminescent patterning along the organic conduits embedded in the deck nearby. Chief Engineer Jiro Tanaka and his Itherac counterpart, Valera, bolted on the last of the emergency thruster units. These will give you extra vectoring control on exit burn, Jiro explained. Patting the nacelle affectionately, Valera's eyes glowed brighter in gratitude. Your kindness and skill will be remembered in our songs, she projected. Captain Elena Marquez oversaw the final checklist, each tick of her datapad affirming the promise she had made to her crew and to humanity. Life support modules were secure, radiation shielding integrated, communications uplink tested. Diplomatic envoys had delivered Earth's formal farewell gifts, a crystal pyramid containing recordings of Earth's cultures, and a compressed history, archive of humanity's scientific achievements. To shared ritual before departure. The Itherac requested a ceremony, a simple ritual to bind the two peoples in memory and hope. In the station's central plaza, human musicians and Itherac lyricists prepared a performance that would bloom across minds, as much as ears. As the station's artificial sky transitioned from deep cobalt to pale rose, a hush fell. A string quartet of human instruments, violin, cello, viola, and bass, began a slow, melodic theme. Against that, an Itherac chorus wove telepathic harmonies, their voices like the pulse of the galaxy itself. Captain Marquez stood beside Silther, each feeling the other's heartbeat in the shared resonance. Thank you for your courage, Silther conveyed. Thank you for showing us what it means to be human. Elena closed her eyes, the strains of music lifting her soul. And thank you for teaching us that life isn't measured by conquest, but by compassion. As the final notes faded, the plaza erupted in applause, hands clapping on human wrists and Itherac limbs alike. Tears glistened on cheeks of both species, not from sorrow, but from the beauty of what had been forged in adversity. 3. Boarding. The Ithacath boarding ramp descended with a hiss, its organic metal surface ebbing between violet and silver. One by one, the human delegation stepped aboard. Elena, flanked by Aisha and Jiro, representatives of Earth's Scientific Council. A handful of cultural ambassadors chosen to witness this historic departure, each took a moment at the airlock to place a hand on the living hull, feeling its warmth and pulse. They spoke private words of farewell, promises of return, and wishes of safe passage. A young linguistics student, barely 20, pressed a data ship containing Earth's greatest poems into the crystal grain beside the ramp. For our friends in the stars, she whispered. Sylt Har and Valera stood at the threshold, their tranquil forms awaiting their guests. May your paths be ever guided by light, they projected. And may you remember us as we remember you, Elena offered. A small, proud salute. Fair winds and safe travels, she intoned, until we meet again. 4. Ignition and lift. Within the Ithaca's bridge, panels of living glyphs responded to touch, brightening as the final coordinates were entered. The ship's core, the crystal heart that had once been shattered, glowed with renewed fire. The companion spires along the hull flexed and aligned, channeling energy in a grand ballet of light. Back on Horizon Station, engineers and diplomats alike watched from observation decks as the hangar doors sealed. Then, through the viewport, they saw the first flare of the Ithaca's emergency thrusters, a pale violet bloom against the inky sky. The ship rose, engines humming in harmony with its living systems, and hovered for a breathless moment above the docking bay. Captain Marquez, eyes bright with emotion, activated her station-wide comms. To the crew of the Ithaca, Earth stands beside you now and always. Fly true and carry our friendship to the ends of the galaxy. She ended the transmission with a crisp command, "Release docking clamps," with a soft sigh. The clamps retracted, the Ithaca tilted, engines blazing, and slipped into the gentle curve of its departure arc. A final pulse of bioluminescent glyphs raced across its hull, a beacon of hope. And then the ship accelerated into the stars, leaving a trail of violet light that shimmered like a promise. 5. A new dawn for humanity. As the station's lights brightened to greet a new solar day, Captain Marquez turned from the viewport, hands clasped behind her back. Around her, crews murmured of the wonders they had seen and the bonds they had forged. Dr. Khan marveled at the samples of living crystal, speculating on the applications for Earth's power grids. Jiro Tanaka already sketched plans for hybrid hull technologies. Even the hardened diplomats spoke of new treaties and interstellar alliances. In that moment, Earth itself felt different, smaller, yet infinitely more connected to the tapestry of life beyond its blue skies. The arrival of the Ithrak had tested humanity's mettle. Their departure sealed a covenant of peace and cooperation that would shape history for generations. Captain Marquez moved to the station's command console and initiated the launch sequence for the next supply shuttle. As the hangar doors opened again, revealing a crisp view of Earth's curve, she whispered to herself, "We stood tall today." And so, as the Ithaca vanished into the vastness, humanity stood sentinel, ready for the next chapter in a story that had only just begun.